Good evening and welcome to Thai PBS English News Service. I'm Supachon Klinsuwan. The governor of the Bank of Thailand is preparing to consult with commercial banks after the 4 emergency decrees became effective today. The most controversial decree requires the Bank of Thailand, or the BOT, to service the 1.14 trillion baht of public debt incurred by the Financial Institutions Development Fund, or FIDF, and the BOT now have to take responsibility for payment of both principal and interest. The most significant point in the Section 7 in the emergency decree is to transfer the debt of the BOT, which requires the central bank to contribute at least 90% of its total net profit. The central bank will also have to transfer its remaining assets in its annual yield account to pay off the 1.14 trillion baht debt. However, the emergency decree opens a gap for the BOT to collect levies of up to 1% of deposits from commercial banks to give to the Deposit Protection Agency, or DPA. At the moment, the commercial banks are paying 0.4% to the DPA. This is making the commercial banks and other sectors worried that at the end of the day, the commercial banks will push these extra costs on to their customers by increasing the interest rate spread. Prasan Trairat Warakun, the governor of the Bank of Thailand, will consult with the commercial banks again to talk about the levies for the DPA. While the date has not yet been confirmed, there will be an unofficial meeting between the BOT and some commercial banks. Meanwhile, Gonchatika Wanit, a former finance minister, stated that he will sue through the Constitutional Court concerning the emergency decree related to the water management system and the emergency decree to transfer the debt to the FIDF. He predicted that this could be done on Monday because he has to do this before the government passes the 4 emergency decrees to the Council of Representatives for approval. Meanwhile, Senator Kamnoon Sithisaman, the spokesperson for the Committee on Monetary, Finance, Banking and Financial Institutions, has revealed that the committee has a resolution to sue through the Constitutional Court regarding the emergency decree to transfer the debt of the FIDF. They have gathered no less than 1/5 of the senators' names, and they will pass it on to the Constitutional Court through the Speaker of the Senate next week. The labor unions of the State Enterprise Workers Relations Confederation, or the SERC, went to the Ministry of Transport today, handing in a letter demanding that the government clarify the restructuring of PTT and Thai Airways so that they will no longer be state enterprises. Sawit Kawan, the Secretary General of the SERC, confirmed today that the labor unions went to the Ministry of Transport to show solidarity in opposing the government's plan to decrease by 2% their equity holdings in PTT and Thai Airways by transferring them to the Wayupak Fund. The exercise, according to the government, will help to decrease public debt. Sawit said that the government's plan to restructure, especially in the case of an energy giant like PTT, will affect the Thai people and the national energy policy as a whole, because PTT is the only company that controls and produces the energy in this country. He said that the transformation of the PTT will make energy inspection and control processes impossible. The transformation may affect gas production costs and may cause the gas price to increase. Today, the representatives of the SERC submitted to the Minister of Transport a document describing the reasons for their opposition, the transformation of PTT and Thai Airways. The Deputy Minister of Transport said that he will bring this issue to the attention of the Prime Minister next week. He agreed that the government should provide information to give the workers confidence in the plan. The labor unions are preparing to set up a public stage on February the 15th to give out information regarding the transformation of the state enterprises. While Apsorn Krisanasamit, the president of the labor union at PTT, said that next week the leaders of the PTT's labor union and the SERC will ask to see Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance Kitirat Naranong to submit documents explaining their disagreement to transforming the state enterprises. 77% of people surveyed in a recent poll object the present government's attempt to sell its stake in PTT public company to the Wayupak Fund to make no longer a state enterprise. In the Bangkok poll released today, only 23% of the respondents supported the plan, Bangkok poll said. The poll asked 1,160 people in Bangkok and nearby provinces about the sale of the energy giant. Asked whether they thought PTT had a hidden political agenda, 51.7% said yes, and 19.6% were worried that it would pave way for capitalists to take advantage from PTT. Only 9.2% of those surveyed said it would be good for the people of Thailand as prices of fuel and gas might be cheaper. 24% believed there would be no effect because energy prices rely on the world market mechanism. Meanwhile, 28% actually wanted the government to take PTT back into complete state ownership. A stateless family detained for almost 2 years in Thailand was released on bail today. This is considered to be a big step forward in human rights issues in this country. The family of 3, a mother and 2 children aged 11 and 13 years, have been detained since 2010 for illegal entry into Thailand. They were released this morning as part of an initiative by the National Human Rights Commission of Thailand and the Immigration Department. The bail was 50,000 baht. The family will now start to apply for official refugee status with the United Nations Human Rights Committee and will then apply for relocation to a third country. Virawit Tianchainan of the Thai Committee for Refugees Foundation says this case is a big step forward in terms of human rights in Thailand, adding that this is the first time the Human Rights Commission, the Immigration Department, and society are working together to develop human rights in this country. Estimated figures reveal that there are around 1 million stateless people being detained in this country, and the detention centers are becoming overcrowded and conditions are deteriorating rapidly. Europe ranks second on the list of investors in Thailand, and the European market is one of the major importers of Thai goods. Our Dr. Rungtip Chonapalai met with the president of the European ASEAN Business Center in Thailand to discuss the expansion of trade and investment by European companies once the ASEAN Economic Community, or AEC, begins in 2015, and foreign investors calls for reliable information on flooding and water management plans from the government. Here's more.
I think Thailand is a good country to invest, but let me add to your question before.
Yes.
I think what the government did totally wrong was the information policy. Our members were totally confused what is the real fact, what is fantasy, and they give information that really make investors insecure. And I think this, they also have to address this point. You know, there was too many people commenting on things, and the investor or the general public really didn't have the real information. And I think that they must also improve. If you see this in a wider context of ASEAN, you're in a very good position to extend these strengths you have. So I don't sometimes kind of understand why some investors, some entrepreneurs in Thailand are so afraid of ASEAN. I think it's a great opportunity, you know. If you do it right, it's a great opportunity. You should concentrate on your strengths, and then you can expand from there. You know.
The year 2012 marks the 10th anniversary of Thailand's universal healthcare scheme. Now, our ASEAN neighbors are asking Thailand to assist in developing the program in their own homelands. Withiya Buranasiri, Minister of Public Health, signed a memorandum of understanding with Dr. Nguyen Kim Thien, Vietnam's health minister. The MOU states that Thailand will assist Vietnam with developing its universal healthcare scheme, public health policies, budget allocation, and joint coordination in monitoring contagious diseases. Thai medical staff will also travel to Vietnam to assist in the setting up of the universal healthcare scheme. Meanwhile, the Rockefeller Foundation has given Thailand 16 million baht to organize a regional workshop to exchange knowledge of setting up a free-of-charge medical service. Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, China, and Indonesia are expected to send their representatives to join this workshop next month. ICT gurus are predicting that 2012 will see massive sales of tablet PCs following the government's trend-setting scheme. Many Thai parents, however, are updating themselves with the new technologies, but many are insisting that the government's policy is not worth the huge investment.
International Convention Centre is buzzing with activity as the venue for this year's Thailand Mobile Expo. The 4-day event is expected to bring in some 1.5 billion baht in sales, a 5% increase on last year's event. But consumers are saying service providers should lower their fees and offer cheaper packages. Meanwhile, Obad Churtpan, head of the organising committee, told the media that sales of tablet PCs is likely to be this year's real moneymaker. This is as a result of the government's campaign to start giving away computer tablets to students next semester. Knowing this, parents are getting their hands on the tablets as well, so that they and their young ones can speak the same language. Recently appointed Education Minister Suchat Thadatamrongvet told the press this Wednesday that his first mission as Minister of Education is to distribute tablet PCs to primary school students across the country. Many parents are saying the government's distribution of tablet PCs is an outstanding move, as it supports Thai kids in becoming more tech-savvy and gives them easier and quicker access to knowledge, believing there is so much more knowledge in cyberspace than in the confines of a typical classroom. However, a significant number of parents suggested to Thai PBS that this scheme is actually a waste of taxpayers' money and that state-of-the-art technology is not yet essential for this age group. Some even hinted that there might be a high chance of corruption behind the scenes of the government's massive IT purchases.
Since ancient times, temples have been the center of Thai society, but for the younger generation, the many glitzy shopping malls seem to have become more tempting than temples. Now monks and community leaders are using the recent floods to draw youth's attention back. Here's more with Kun Akrapon Thongthradon.
น้ำลดมดกินปลาภูมิปัญญาสังคมชาวบ้าน is the name of this exhibition on show at วัดหนังราชวรวิหาร or วัดหนัง Temple, which is also a community learning center. Students joining the event are learning about how their ancestors led their life along the rivers and canals. This unique exhibition includes some hands-on experiences, something that typical classroom cannot offer. Local guides and community leaders are demonstrating how living with nature, like we did in the old days, is much better than trying to bend nature's cord to suit our lives. The tragic 2011 floods were a clear example of how humans are trying to take control over nature and failing dramatically. Using rowing boats to get around used to be second nature for Thai people, but for today's younger generation, it's a whole different story.
Not only academic skill, but young children in this area are giving importance to learning life skill, especially rowing boats, something that will be very handy if the floods come again.
Not only citizens of Chomthong district, but anyone, Thai or foreign, with the desire to learn about living happily with water are welcome to visit the Wat Nang Temple. Located not far from BTS Wong Vien Yai, visitors are likely to learn a thing or two which might be useful if the floods come again. This is Akrapon Thongthradon reporting for Thai PBS.
Thank you, Kun Akrapon. Thai PBS, together with the Royal Thai Army and the Royal Thai Air Force, are sending a mission to donate blankets and winter wear to residents up north. And here's a word from our Deputy MD.
We think as a public media, apart from doing basic function as reporting or providing information or analysis, we should do something for better society. By helping each other, we think this will create much caring society.
The mission goes north until this Saturday in the northern province of Chiang Rai. For future projects, and those who wish to donate blankets and winter wear through us can contact us at 02-790-2111, or for more details, please do visit our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/ThaiPBSFan. And that brings us to the end of tonight's edition of Thai PBS English News Service. Please keep in mind that we are still recruiting for a English-speaking news reporter, so if you are interested, please email us at Eng.News thaiPBS.or.th, and we will send you back with a job description, and we hope to be working with you in future projects soon. And thank you so much for watching us tonight. I'm Subhajoy Klinsuwan. Good night. สวัสดีครับ